from St Mary's. We'll bring you all the goals from yesterday on what was an amazing day of Premier League action, and actually amazing sunshine on the south coast today, which is lovely. And this is where we will be from midday. Southampton taking on Tottenham. Kick-off is just 1 hour away in the Gareth Bale derby. Yep, Tottenham got here a few minutes ago. If you're expecting to see the man at the moment, well, he's not travelling today. He's watching this one from home. Good morning, Gareth. I'm sure you're still buzzing from the last few days. Congratulations. Welcome home. But we'll see how his new teammates shape up on the south coast today. And they'll do so against the Saints side, bruised from defeat on the opening weekend. They dominated possession and chances against Palace, but then followed it up with defeat in the League Cup. They do not want to make it a hat-trick of defeats. So the players are here. It's lovely to see you, and it's lovely to see you too as well. Just a couple of club legends for you today. Franny Benali and Glenn Hoddle. Nice to see you both. So, Gareth's back at Spurs. Your instant reaction to that?
Wonderful. I think it's a fantastic thing for Tottenham. It really is. I think he needs to be loved, and I think he's certainly going to be loved by the fans and all his teammates at Tottenham. And already I get that feeling that he feels he's back with his club, and he's talking about we, and he's talking about us. And I think as long as I keep him fit, I think it's going to be brilliant.
Exciting for the Premier League though as well, isn't it? Even opponents coming up against him as well. No more so than today, coming up against his former club as well, where he started out. So, yeah, sort of almost ties in nicely for him. Obviously not being here playing, but just that buzz around a player of his stature and quality coming back to the Premier League is great.
And also Sergio Reguilon as well. He might be tuning in. I feel a bit sorry for him. Everyone's forgotten that they've actually signed a player they really need, and a quality player as well.
Yeah, he's gone under the radar a little bit, isn't he? But he is a good player, very good going forward. I've got to say that. And Spurs fans, I think, are going to be really enjoy watching him going forward. Whether his defensive side of the game might be a bit questionable, but he's going to learn. He's a young lad, and I think he's going to be a great acquisition for the club.
And one thing we have to remember, Tottenham may well have created the Gareth Bale we see today, but it was this place that actually created him at the very beginning. Southampton deserve their credit for that.
Of course, Jake. Thank you very much for raising that.
No problem.
No, and not just Gareth, a number of players over the years, as we've seen. It's been a wonderful, growing academy. Players starting off their careers here, and but we want to keep those players as well. So hopefully that does change, and we're seeing some staying here now a bit longer, which is great.
Absolutely. Right, let's just show you the teams today. Interesting, actually, some big headlines coming out of this one. It's actually 2 changes for both sides today. And I suppose the big news, let's actually start with the away team, because that's where the big news is today. Dele Alli, who was taken off at half-time in the first game of the season, has now not been involved either in the match in Europe on Thursday evening. He's not even in the squad today. It is not injury related, so he's not involved. Sanchez and Ndombele starts for the first time since March, and also 2 changes for Southampton as well from that defeat to Crystal Palace. Armstrong and Djenepo are in. Smallbone drops to the bench, and Nathan Redmond is also injured as well. But as you can see, one man who does start today is Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. He obviously had his big move over the summer to a club where he really wants to impress, and he needs to impress after a difficult first match out.
It's only been a couple of months since you've been at the club. How are you settling in?
Very well, thank you. I'm very happy to be here, and I think I'm trying my best to really grow into the Tottenham family.
Jose Mourinho, world-class manager. How much of a pull was he?
Incredible. Very, very big character, but also very big coach, very big personality, and to learn from him, it would be stupid not to take the chance.
Does it make you raise your game to sort of play with someone who you need to impress, really?
Yes, and again, it's also playing my game and be who I am.
And what is your sort of personality off the pitch, and how do you bring that onto the pitch?
I cannot say I like to beat people up privately. It would be a bit difficult to say. But yeah, no. I think I like to take responsibility. I think what I would love to hear from my teammates eventually one day when I stop is that they say they could always trust me.
So you'll be back at St Mary's. You spent 4 years there. You were club captain for a while. You were always going to play your old club at some point. Is it almost a bit too soon? Second game of the season?
Had a good time there with good people, good club. So I'm looking forward to go back with now my team and my club and try to get the best result.
Do you think there's a bit more pressure on the game because both yourselves and Southampton lost on the opening day?
There's pressure all the time. The day we don't want pressure anymore, we stop playing football. And we are ready, and we are there, and we have to compete. And there's
lots of different fronts as well because you've got Europa League, Premier League,
there's so many
domestic
games. I think I've never seen anything like it. I will not give my opinion to it, but we will do our best to go out to every single game and try to win it.
And he will certainly hope to impress today at a place where, of course, he plied his trade for so long. Right, let's just turn our attention back to yesterday's games. Now, Peter Walton joins us from home. I'm sure he's glad on a weekend like this that he no longer has to be under the glare of the media. As a former referee, he can just sit and pass judgment, which is what we're going to get you to do in just a couple of seconds, Peter, particularly on the game we're now going to show, which was Manchester United against Crystal Palace. An interesting one, this.
Against United, but I think it suits them if they go 1-0 up. The problem for Palace, can they go 1-0 down and still play in the same way? Last year they struggled that, but if they go 1-0 up, this team is going to be really stubborn now that can win games for them. So I don't think it's such a surprise that this result ended up, a good win for Palace in the end of the day.
And we'll talk about both of those incidents with Peter Walton in just a second. What do you think about Will Saha? Obviously, he was instrumental yesterday.
Personally, I think he's a top player. I think he can now. He's ready to go to a top team, wherever that top team is. But I think people there would get a player that's matured now, knows it's been a bit harsh on him, and he's played in the team that want to defend.
They consider it?
I think they should consider it if the Sancho deal doesn't come off, which
it just seems an ongoing thing, though, doesn't it? Why hasn't it happened already? That's, I guess, the question mark. Why haven't they come in and made that bit?
Okay, talking of question marks, Peter Walton. The handball yesterday. I suppose the thing is, when they came up with this law about handball, were they envisaging penalties being given for the kind of thing that we saw yesterday?
Well, when they came up with the law, what I was trying to do was get some consistency in a very subjective matter. I mean, we've argued for years, if it's handball or not, and the lawmakers have tried to define it so that people can make it easier if it's handball or not. And sometimes when you have a new law of this nature, you'll get these grey areas where people say, well, hang on a minute, it wasn't meant for that. Well, maybe it wasn't in a moral sense of point, but in a consistency sense of point, I can understand it clearly.
Do you understand what Peter's saying? If it touches your hand, that's it. And it does make it very clear. You would have hated it.
Oh, of course. As a defender, it drives you absolutely bonkers, and that was a classic example of that penalty we saw at Old Trafford last night. It just drives you insane. I mean, there's no way he intentionally looked to stop that or was making himself large. It was a reaction. He almost saw the way he turned his face. He was almost trying to get out of the way of the ball, if anything.
But at least there's clarity.
No, yeah, but it's making a mockery of the game, I'm afraid. Balance. They can't make a tackle and time it right if their arms around behind their back because they're scared that players will. If that's the rule, flick it up against somebody's arm, claim handball, and you get a penalty. So it's ridiculous.
And regarding the goalkeeper off his line, look, Peter, all the players, all the goalkeepers, all the managers have clearly been told the situation this season. You just have to stay on your line, and at least, again, that's not subjective.
Well, it's not subjective. I don't think there should be any arguments at all about it. People may not like it, but goalkeepers have got to get used to it. And if they want to come forward, maybe their starting position is a foot behind that goal line, so they can actually come forward without going against the law. But the law is, if your feet, both feet, by the way, are off that line and forward of that line, the kick will be retaken. Technology is there to be used, and it was used correctly yesterday.
Yeah, and I think you're right. There's a large part of this which is whenever a new law comes in, people struggle with it, don't they, for a little while. Right, let's move on. Thank you very much, Peter. We're going to turn our attention to what happened yesterday against two of the promoted teams, Leeds United, who are a very welcome addition back in the Premier League, took on Fulham. We brought you a cracker earlier in the day. We were wondering whether this one could match up to it, and boy, it did. Ian Darke and Robbie Savage. Watch these two go toe-to-toe.
What a return to Ellen Road, Premier League style for Leeds United. Gives Fulham another snip again.
Ian's right, it was a great game, and look, we all need some positivity at the moment, so let's be positive. Leeds look like great entertainers, and Fulham, plenty of spirit.
yeah, it's nice to see promoted sides come up and have that lack of fear and look to take games on, scoring goals. That's what everybody wants to see. It's entertaining. No supporters in the stadium naturally, but any of the viewers at home are going to see that, encouraged that their team are doing that. But you certainly need to have a bit of a defensive, solid base as well. So tighten up a little bit defensively, but still keep that intact in the 10.
Yeah, I think what I've seen of Leeds so far, the two games, they've been absolutely brilliant. Every neutral is going to really enjoy Leeds back in the Premier League, without a doubt. They've got to tighten up a little bit, of course, but they look as if they just want to go for the throat. It doesn't care who they're playing against. They're attacking teams, and that's it. As for Fulham, they've already had 2 games in the Premier League. They've conceded 7 goals. They've got to tighten up, and there's no doubt about that.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more action from yesterday, including an absolute thriller that we brought you yesterday morning on BT Sport live from Goodison Park. And then Mikel Arteta's Arsenal looking to continue their perfect start to the season. See you in a minute. To the sunny south coast. Make sure you stay where you are, because their exclusive chat with Gareth Bale and Peter Crouch is on its way in just a few minutes' time. Stay where you are for that, ahead of Southampton hosting Spurs. But first, more match action from yesterday. Everton's new look midfield of Alan, Doucouré and Rodriguez has impressed so far, and yesterday they took on West Brom, and once again plenty of drama for Darren Fletcher and Martin Keown to enjoy.
Given. Kieran Gibbs sent off after that collision with James Rodriguez. It's hand to face, and you simply can't do that. It's a great free kick. It's absolutely wonderful. Floated into the top corner of the Everton net, and he couldn't have placed it any better. Who stayed perfect in the Premier League, and in so many ways it was the perfect day for their number 9, Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Then, as a former England manager, how close is Gareth getting to giving Dominic Calvert-Lewin his first senior cap?
Well, he's got to be looking at him, for sure, you know, and he gives them it gives England maybe something a little bit different. It's got that little bit of presence, but, you know, if you're looking to put players into the England squad in form, this lad's in form, and if he can just continue it a little bit, show a little bit more consistency as a player. You know, he's only had a couple of games. You know, we've got to settle down and let him, you know, keep scoring goals, but he can't do any more than he's been doing. He looks a threat in the air, and he looks confident. Ancelotti's behind him, he's playing him from the start, and that he's a different animal now. He's going out there thinking, I can take these defences apart. So as long as he can show some consistency, I'm sure Gareth's looking at him without a doubt.
It's hard to know what, because it's such early days, but it feels like something special is happening at Everton, doesn't it?
Ancelotti's now sort of just starting to build that team that he wants. He's obviously recognised a few areas that he wants to actually sort of improve and strengthen. Look at the experience these players that have come in are bringing, and the quality as well. And we're seeing how they've literally hit the ground running, and that's obviously resulted in 2 great performances and results for them so far.
Absolutely, but frustration for the opponents yesterday. And after the match, Des spoke with Slaven Bilic.
What about your red card? We felt a bit for you because
I didn't. If there is a recording thing, I do not think. I complained. Of course, I complained. But I think as a manager, I have every right. It wasn't during the game. It's a half time. Nobody here. No fans. I came to him first straight. He's avoiding me. He starts to go. I don't like it. I think as a manager, I can talk if I'm polite. I want to hear an explanation, but puff.
and also
I told him that I had a feeling next time kill us. Yeah, but that's not swear. That's my opinion of his or of the quality of his refereeing game.
Thoughts on the red, Glenn?
I think it's harsh. I think if the referee had just given a little bit of common sense and said, look, and give him a warning. Say, look, if you continue, I'm going to have to send you off. And then it's the manager's chance to go, whoa, I've got to steady here, I've got to slow down. But straight away, he said, go away, and bang. And then, it's difficult because you're not allowed to go on the pitch at half-time as a manager, but the changing rooms for him were across the other side of the ground, so he has to go across the pitch.
The ref made no allowances, it didn't feel like, for the circumstances
Exactly.
of the way with the game's now being played.
No, that's right. And like Glenn said, the situation about the side They're changing the opposite side of the area. You understand Slavan's frustrations as well. A couple of the incidents in the first half. So naturally, he's frustrated. He wants to speak to Mike Dean. It seemed harsh on him, but I guess it's the manner and the issue and the way that Mike Dean reacted quite so quickly.
Yeah, and that rule must be about protecting refs in a sort of hot stadium environment. There's no fans, so it is different now, isn't it? It's kind of much more sanitised. Right, let's have a look at our final game then from yesterday. Once again, it was an interesting match, and Mikel Arteta said after this one, Franny, that this is a game that Arsenal would be losing if they'd have played at 6.
Players coming in, it just maybe made a little bit of time to adjust slightly, but certainly exciting times, and the signature of Aubameyang as well was a huge thing for Arsenal.
And look, it wasn't bad yesterday from West Ham, but they've got Wolves next now. I mean, this is a hard start to the season.
It's a tough start. At home against Newcastle, David Moyes must have been saying, like, okay, it's a hard game, but we've got to go out there and win the game. That didn't happen. Then they had Arsenal away from home. They showed at times they played a lot better. They improved their performance, but 0 points. And now Wolves, it's the last team you want to go and play as Wolves at the moment. I think they're always going to be a good side. They've got some work to do, but Arsenal look resilient now. Recent years gone by, they could play really, really well and still end up losing. Whereas now they've got that capability of getting over the line, not playing so well.
Could they be a top 4 side, Arsenal?
I think they can, yeah. The way they started last week against Fulham, but with that, in the Premier League, it is such a tough league. You've got to have that resilience. You've got to have that belief that you can grind something out. And they've got match winners. They've got match winners at the top end of the pitch, like a lot of teams have actually. But it's how you defend is how you're going to do well in the Premier League.
It was a dramatic day, wasn't it? I mean, turn around, it looks stunning, doesn't it? We've got Spurs warming up just down here. We've got Southampton down there. The sun is shining. I hope that we get as much drama and excitement today as we had yesterday. What do you think?
Don't see any reason why not. As long as it's maybe a repeat scoreline of the same respondent fixture as last year. A 1-0 Danny Ings, I would take.
I thought you were going to mention that. We know that it's horrible that you can't be here with us, but it looks fantastic. We look forward to bringing it to you on BT Sport. All our build-up gets going in just a couple of moments. Of course, this is just one of 4 games on BT Sport that you can see over the next few weeks. Southampton against Tottenham gets going at 12 o'clock, and there's 3 other games today as well. Newcastle, Brighton, a big mouth-watering clash. Chelsea against Liverpool a bit later on. The day gets rounded off. Leicester up against Burnley. Right, stay where you are. Peter Crouch last night sat down with Gareth Bale, probably while the ink was still wet on his new Tottenham contract. They spoke about all kinds of things. You can see that live right here in just a couple of minutes' time ahead of Tottenham up against Southampton on BT Sport. See you in a moment.